Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really pivotal question for startups jumping into artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
How do you strategically harness the power of large language models? It can feel, well, a bit like navigating a minefield, frankly.
Yeah.
So many options. Think of this as your essential guide.
Exactly. And today we really want to zero in on two of the biggest players, right? OpenAI and Anthropic,
Yeah, the heavy hitters.
definitely.
Yeah.
And for startups, really getting their different approaches,
Mhm.
it's more than just helpful. It's frankly fundamental if you want to integrate these LLMs smartly.
Right. And to help us get to the core of what matters, we've pulled together some great resources. We're looking at insights from a European Data Protection Board report focusing on AI privacy risks.
That's a crucial one.
Definitely. Plus an ArtSafe paper digging into emerging solutions for integrating LLMs into software products. And a strategic overview that really analyzes that intersection of LLMs and startup innovation, specifically looking at OpenAI and Anthropic.
So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. Pull out the key insights, the critical decision factors to help you, the startup, navigate this, let's call it the LLM maze.
Yeah, cut through the complexity.
Exactly. So you can make informed choices about which provider, which strategy really fits your needs and where you're trying to go.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The potential, I mean, it's massive, isn't it? How LLMs can transform startups. We're seeing it everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Customer support, smarter chatbots, healthcare, automated medical documentation. You see companies like Solemn Health, Thrive AI Health doing really interesting things there.
Yeah, finance too. Fraud detection, things like that. RAMP is one example.
And legal tech. Harvey AI, Aletica, they're using it for contract analysis and, of course, content generation. Jasper AI, lots of people know that one.
Right. But building on that, while the possibilities are exciting, startups face a pretty unique set of hurdles when they actually try to bring these models in. It's more than just the tech itself.
Definitely more than the wow factor.
Yeah. There are real technical challenges, cost implications, big ones, and, crucially, ethical questions, especially for early-stage companies, often working with pretty tight resources.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely not plug and play, is it?
Not at all.
Startups, they've got to navigate these, tricky API integrations. And you mentioned the EDPB report. It highlights things like quota limits, rate limits from the providers.
Right, which can really bite you.
Exactly. They can just, boom, disrupt your service, especially when you're trying to grow. And then there's prompt engineering. That's a whole skill in itself.
It really is. Getting the outputs you actually want reliably.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And that RxSave paper, it points to some interesting solutions emerging for these technical bits. Like for prompt engineering, they talk about templating frameworks becoming more important.
Okay, so managing complex prompts with dynamic data.
Precisely. It keeps the code cleaner, easier to maintain, which, for a small team, that's a huge plus.
And what about the cost side? The strategic overview really hammered that home. Caching LLM outputs, for instance.
Yeah, caching can save significant money, definitely, and speed things up if you get similar requests often.
But then you got another layer, right? Choosing a provider for the cache, figuring out when to invalidate it, monitoring performance.
Exactly. It adds complexity to your tech stack. No free lunch.
So how are people tackling the quality issue, ensuring the outputs are actually good?
Well, that's where things get interesting. The RCV paper suggests traditional metrics often fall short. They don't capture the nuances.
Just accuracy isn't enough.
Right. So we're seeing this shift towards defining custom metrics. It's more collaborative. They actually call it more of a social science problem than a science problem.
Social science. Meaning
it takes iteration, expert input, data scientists getting involved to figure out what good actually looks like for your specific use case.
that makes a lot of sense. You need to know if it sounds natural, if it's consistent, not just if it got the basic fact right.
Exactly. So the trend is using both qualitative measures like fluency, consistency, and quantitative ones. Get a fuller picture.
And I saw something about using LLMs themselves to evaluate. LLM as a judge.
Yeah, that's a big one. Using the AI to assess the AI's output based on clear rubrics for clarity, coherence, things like that. Frameworks are popping up for this.
Okay, that's fascinating. A bit meta.
It is, and it helps scale quality checks. But the paper rightly warns against over-relying on it.
Why is that? What's the risk?
Well, the risk is the model might just, give itself a good grade because the output looks like something it would produce, not necessarily because it's objectively good or meets the user's need. You could miss real issues.
Okay, so a useful tool, but keep humans in the loop.
Yeah.
Got it. And are tests getting smarter too?
Yeah, it seems so.
Hmm.
Teams are moving away from expecting just one single perfect answer. They're using things like regular expressions, similarity algorithms.
To accept a range of valid responses.
Exactly. Makes the evaluation more robust, more realistic, kind of like property-based testing in software development.
Okay, now shifting gears a bit. The ethical side. That feels huge. The sources mention concerns about how these models are trained, data scraping.
Absolutely. The strategic overview brought that up. How the training data was gathered and the potential downstream risks for startups using those models.
And the EDPB report, that really focused on privacy, didn't it?
Deep dive on privacy risks, yeah. Things like users accidentally putting sensitive data into prompts,
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening easily.
right? Or the model inferring private info.
Mm.
Or providers maybe logging data they shouldn't. Even failures in anonymizing the original training data. It's complex.
So startups need to be asking about data retention policies, third-party infrastructure risks.
Definitely. The EDPB really stresses that. And thinking about data protection right from the start, especially with regulations like GDPR, data residency, transfers.
I think it's critical.
Wow. It really is a legal and technical tightrope. And it's not just about data sitting still, right? The report mentioned risks during RAG too. Yeah, retrieval-augmented generation. We'll get more into RAG later.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're pulling from knowledge bases with sensitive info, or even how user feedback is handled and stored,
Yeah.
potential pitfalls there too.
It feels like responsible AI is becoming less of a buzzword and more of a requirement.
Absolutely. Both the overview and the RAG paper hit on this. We're seeing a push for standardizing how we evaluate AI, ethics bias, safety, robustness, transparency, privacy, security.
Dedicated teams, even.
Yeah, becoming more common.
Hmm.
And strategies like red teaming, where you actively try to break the AI or make it do harmful things to find weaknesses, plus things like mandatory internal audits before deployment.
Okay, let's pivot now to the big head-to-head. OpenAI versus Anthropic. The overview gave a good comparison. Their core philosophies seem quite different. OpenAI is about speed, access.
Right. Rapid progress, getting it out there,
Yeah.
Anthropic. Well, their origin story is relevant here.
The founders came from OpenAI, right?
They did. And the report suggests they left partly over concerns about, let's say, the balance shifting towards commercialization, maybe losing some focus on deep AI safety after the Microsoft partnership.
Interesting. So Anthropic is more safety first.
Very much so. Their whole mission is built around dependability, interpretability, control. Safety and ethics are baked in. That constitutional AI approach is key, using explicit ethical principles to guide the model.
Okay. And their models. OpenAI has GPT, DLE, Whisper, Sora.
The whole suite. Anthropic has the Claude family Opus, Sonnet Haiku, and Claude Code for coding tasks.
So for a startup, what are the strengths of going with OpenAI?
Well, you get very capable, versatile models. There's a huge developer community, tons of documentation, broad applicability, generally pretty easy to integrate, and they're really pushing the boundary on multimodal stuff.
But the potential downsides, the overview mentioned platform risk.
Yeah, the risk that OpenAI might build something that competes directly with your product. Cost can also ramp up significantly at scale. And, they've faced scrutiny before about that speed versus safety balance.
Okay. And Anthropic's strengths for startups.
Safety and reliability are big ones. Their models handled really large context windows. Huge advantage for processing long documents or complex chats. Strong reasoning capabilities. And that core ethical alignment.
Weaknesses or concerns there?
The ecosystem is smaller right now, maybe a slightly steeper learning curve, the overview suggested, for really deep customization, although they are evolving fast, including on multimodal.
And how do they actually implement safety? OpenAI uses policies, filtering.
Right. Usage policies, content filters, data privacy commitments, collaborations on standards. Anthropic has constitutional AI, their responsible scaling policy, focused on preventing harmful outputs, trying to be transparent about how it works.
Oh, okay, customization. This seems key. OpenAI has fine-tuning.
Strong fine-tuning capabilities, yeah. Plus prompt engineering using external tools.
And Anthropic.
They emphasize sophisticated prompt engineering, too. They have this computer use tool for Claude to interact with external systems, agentic workflows letting the AI string actions together, and what they call extended thinking for tougher problems.
So customization isn't just fine-tuning anymore?
Not at all. It's evolving. It's also about how you prompt it, how you build workflows around it, how you let it use tools.
Got it. And do they offer help for startups specifically?
Both do, yeah. OpenAI has its Startup Fund, Pioneers Program, VC partnerships. Anthropic has the Anthology Fund, a dedicated startup lead, an AI for Science program, cloud partner programs.
So funding credits expertise.
Exactly. You need to look at the type of support offered: funding, mentorship, research collaboration, API credits, cloud resources, access to their experts. It varies.
Okay, pulling this all together, what are the absolute critical decision factors for a startup choosing between them? Cost has to be near the top.
Paramount, especially early on. And the pricing. It's complex for both.
Tiered plans per token costs that vary.
Right. OpenAI has ChatGPT tiers, then per token for different models, tools. Anthropic has Claude tiers, per token pricing, potential discounts for batch processing or caching. You really have to muzzle out your specific usage.
And think about optimizing cost from day one.
Absolutely. Choose the right model for the job.
Yeah.
Don't use the biggest, most expensive one for simple tasks. Optimize prompts, handle data efficiently, cache where it makes sense.
Then data privacy and security, non-negotiable.
Totally. Especially with user data or in regulated fields, you have to scrutinize their security measures, data handling policies, compliance certifications.
And know where your data lives, how it moves, GDPR implications.
Critically important. Data residency and transfer policies matter.
And finally, customization and control. But understanding it's evolved.
Right. Is your primary need adapting knowledge or style? Fine-tuning, maybe OpenAI's strength there is good for that? Or is it complex tasks, integrating external tools dynamically? Maybe Anthropic's focus on prompt engineering and agentic behaviors fits better, if that's your objective.
Okay. Looking ahead now, what are the big trends startups need to watch? The overview mentions specialized models, vertical AI.
Yeah, that's a big shift. Moving beyond general-purpose models to ones tailored for specific industries: finance, healthcare, legal. They often outperform the general ones on specific tasks.
So an opportunity for startups there, building in niches.
Huge opportunity. If you have unique proprietary data, a data moat, you can build something really accurate and defensible.
We're also seeing more AI assistants, co-pilots, and even more autonomous agents.
Definitely. Expanding beyond just customer service bots. This idea of agentic software is taking hold. But it brings new challenges too: control, safety, user trust, when the AI acts more independently.
And multimodal is clearly exploding: text, voice, images, video.
Yeah, richer experiences. Think Sora, GPT-4o, plus a countertrend towards smaller, more efficient models for specific tasks, lower cost, faster deployment.
Like OpenAI's mini models.
Exactly. And models getting better at integrating real-time data, like Claude being able to access web search. Plus, more interest in using synthetic data for training, especially where real data is sensitive.
The overview also discussed the relationship between startups and these big providers. Symbiotic, but potentially competitive.
Yeah, it's both. Providers get adoption, startups get powerful AI. But if the provider starts offering a generic version of what your startup does, like basic PDF summarization,
You'd be in trouble.
right. So startups need to differentiate. Unique IP, that data moat we mentioned, highly specialized workflows. That's how you mitigate platform risk and stay ahead of incumbents who are now adding AI too.
Okay, one last crucial piece. Infrastructure for customization. RAG versus fine-tuning. The VKTR.com article laid this out well.
Yes, the two main approaches. RA retrieval-augmented generation connects the LLM to external up-to-date knowledge.
Like a library I can check things in.
Sort of, yeah. Fine-tuning, on the other hand, actually changes the model's internal parameters using your own labeled data.
So different methods. When would you use which?
Good question. RAG is great when you need real-time, current info, or need to answer a wide range of queries based on external docs. Fine-tuning is better for teaching the model specific behaviors, a certain tone, or how to handle structured tasks it wasn't originally trained on.
What about setup? RAG needs document indexing.
Right, setting up vector databases, things like LangChain maybe. Fine-tuning needs that labeled training data, which can be effort-intensive, and compute power for the training itself.
Latency. RAG is slower.
Generally, yes, because of that extra retrieval step. Fine-tuned models are usually faster at inference time.
Knowledge freshness is a big difference, too. RAG is dynamic, fine-tuning is static, right? Frozen at training time.
Exactly. Security differs too. RAG needs access controls on the knowledge base. Fine-tuning embeds the knowledge, which might feel safer in some contexts, but the data was used up front.
And costs. Are lower upfront, maybe higher per query? Fine-tuning, big upfront training cost?
That's the general trade-off, yeah. And the tools differ: LangChain, vector DBs for ag, Hugging Face, provider platforms for fine-tuning.
So the choice really depends on the specific use case, need for real-time data, data availability, budget, customization needs.
Precisely. It's often not an either. Sometimes you might even use both in combination, but you need to understand the trade-offs for your specific situation.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear, isn't it? Choosing an LLM provider, figuring out customization, these are complex, strategic decisions for any startup.
Absolutely crucial. And there's no single right answer. It demands a really careful evaluation of your technical needs, your budget, your privacy requirements, and your long-term goals.
We really hope this discussion helps. We definitely encourage you, the listener, to dig deeper into the resources. Check out OpenAI and Anthropic's own documentation. Read up on RAG and fine-tuning. Look at those EDPB guidelines. Inform your own decisions.
And maybe leave you with this thought. LLM tech is moving incredibly fast. So the question isn't just how your startup leverages these tools now, but how you build a sustainable edge. What unique data, what specialized application will define the next wave of really successful AI ventures? How will you contribute not just to using AI, but shaping its responsible deployment?